What is correct, everyone? It is Drew Nelson coming back at you with another Persona 5X guide. And in this guide, we're going to be taking a look at Summer Tomoko. But before we get into all that, I will ask you guys to please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so I can keep bringing you guys this content and coverage on Persona 5X. I mean, I enjoy this game quite a bit, so I feel like, you know, showing your support in that way would make me want to create videos like this more often. But without further ado, let us get into Seaside Tomoko. So first I'm going to show you guys what I have her set up as. So she's got level 80, she's A0, and then she also has her 5-star weapon. She has her 4-star weapon as an option as well, so we'll talk about that a little later. And her cards, just a little overview so you guys see. Prosperity and Departure. Given these are not perfect, so those aren't, you know, keep that in mind. Her numbers are going to be a little low this video, but that's fine. More so talking about her kit and how she works. Average I've seen on her heals is anywhere between 4 to 6k per heal, so like you're not going to be in that bad of a spot with her heals. Mine are going to be low though because, like I said, their cards are a little bit low. On to Summer Tomoko's abilities. So first, her skill 1 is called Have a Cold Drink, and it is an AoE side damage attack that deals damage, and it does 4 hits to the enemy, and from the second hit onwards, it prioritizes new targets that haven't yet been hit and it inflicts 1 spark stack per hit. And also do 30% damage extra for hits that are on the same target. It also has a passive ability that increases the Summer Reminiscence damage multiplier and it heals even more. So I suppose I should talk about what Summer Reminiscence is right now. So basically her playstyle revolves around wanting to mark the enemies, and then your teammates use skills on them. And then when they hit that enemy that gets marked with a skill, she gets a stack of her sparks. So she gets a spark. And once she hits 3 sparks, she pops her healing. And that's the only source of healing that you're going to have is going to be that follow-up attack. So she's based around that. So pretty much once you hit 3, like it says right here, once you hit 3 spark stacks, for every 3 stacks on enemies, you deal side damage to enemies, and then you decrease their damage to you for a turn, and it heals them. So skill 2, this is gonna be part of your combo. Skill 2, skill 3, you're pretty much gonna be spamming these 2 back to back. So skill 2 heals an ally by Tomoko's attack plus whatever number that you're gonna have it at. I have it maxed out, so it's 1437. And then for 2 turns, it increases the target's attack by 14.6%, and then increases their ailment accuracy as well as damage. And it also increases the attack by 25% of the target's ailment accuracy. So that, you know, this would be like if you put it on like Mesa, for example, since he wants to do debuffs on the enemies, it would be using his ailment accuracy. And it goes up to 90% there, and then it inflicts 1 spark stack for each time skill damage is dealt to a foe, and it can be used up to 5 times. So basically, if you're fighting 5 enemies, let's say you're bringing Joker or whoever it is that you have your sweeper, so AoE. So she marks all 5 of them, Joker slaps all of them with one of his skills. She gets 5 spark stacks, and then she'll do her heal. So skill 3, it's another multi-target attack. And then for 2 turns, it increases foes' damage taken, so some kind of like Rin, if you guys are familiar with her. So she does something a little bit like that. And then same thing, it marks the enemies to be hit by skill damage, and then once the skill damage is hit, she gets her sparks. And then at the start of Seaside Tomoko's turn, it decreases this effect's duration by 1. So there's that. And then for her highlight, she does side damage to random enemies for 3 hits. So this guarantees a follow-up heal. And then it prioritizes attacking foes that have not been hit by this skill and inflict 1 spark stack per damage dealt. And repeated hits deal more damage to that enemy that is hit. So for her passives, we'll look at Power of Memories. During battle, Seaside Tomoko's damage and max HP are increased based on her own HP recovery. So this would be like if you have the HP recovery card, then you know it goes up higher and higher. Then when HP recovery is set up to 42%, it increases side damage by 70% and max HP by 2100. Her next one, Soothing Waves, when activating Hail Summer Day, so her second skill right here. When activating that skill, so her skill 2, increases the main target's max HP by 1800 for 2 turns, and restores HP of the ally with the lowest HP equal to 60% of skill healing. So it's scaled off of this. Now I will talk about her skill orders. So first and foremost, second skill should go up. It's your only source of healing besides her follow-up attack. And she's the healer, so naturally you would want her to have as many options or heal as much as possible, right? So skill 2 is the first by far. Second skill, basically her loop is going to be S2 and S3. So skill 2, skill 3, you're going to repeat those for like all eternity. So basically those are like the first two. After those two, it doesn't really matter as much. So then you get her Sparkling Memories, skill 3. You get that up there. That's your second priority. Third priority, I would say you go for her skill 1, not because you're going to be using it, but because there's this passive ability right here. I'll show the cursor right here. So this passive is active whether or not you use the skill, so you should get it up. I left it at level 8, and I will say most characters in this game, if you don't want to use these flower incenses, the everlasting incense, you just want to leave the stuff at level 8 because you know you don't get much of these. So like I would pretty much just only save those for either your DPS to max out their damage on the skills that they want to have maxed out, or maybe your favorite characters, because I don't know, we all have favorites, right? Why wouldn't you want them to be as strong as possible? So that's your third priority, skill 1. Then lastly, I would say do her highlight. I mean, you're not going to be using the highlight as much, you're going to be using other stuff. So this is maybe like your panic button, yeah, it's nice, but she's mainly here to use her other skills. So skill 2, skill 3 is you're going to be your loop. So those are your first two. Skill 3, not skill 3. Skill 1, I mean, is going to be your third option for priority, and then your highlight. So I would recommend doing them in that order. Let us now take a look at Summer Tomoko's awareness levels. So first, this is what she can do baseline at A0. So she can inflict sparks on foes, and after an ally acts, if enemies have 3 sparks. So this is what I was talking about with the skill damage stuff. Basically, your teammates help you get it for her. So basically, once they hit 3 stacks, it activates her resonance, and for every 3 spark stacks on all foes, she deals side damage to all foes equal to 19% of her attack, and decreases the target's damage by 30% for 1 turn. So this is what I was talking about with them doing less damage to you. It restores the party's health by 9% of Seaside Tomoko's attack plus whatever level you have her at. In this case, I will say that it's 900 because that's the max. It can activate for up to 5 damage and healing effects based on how many spark stacks are spent within the same resonance. This resonance damage does not inflict more sparks. And then change resonance damage based on the number of foes present. So basically, when there's more, it does more. When there's less, it does, or when there's less, it does more, and when there is more, it does less, because then it wants to spread out the damage more, basically. And then damage from resonance cannot deal down point damage, and then when a foe is defeated, it passes the spark stacks onto other random enemies. First, awareness. Each time an enemy receives Summer Reminiscence effect, decrease the foe's defense by 15%. 50 turns, stacks up to 3 times. And then Hail Summer Days healing effects apply to all allies. So essentially, this is more debuffing, which is quite nice. So let me click on it. Yeah, so it does more debuffing, which is quite nice. And then it pretty much just does a little more healing. So quite nice to have. Not a requirement, but quite nice. Second awareness. Every 2 times Summer Reminiscence is activated, Inflicts 1 spark stack on random foes. Each time sparks is inflicted on an enemy, permanently increase party's attack by 2%, stacks up to 15 times. So basically this can be, once you have 30 enemies marked, she'll increase the party's attack by 30%. So this one is actually quite nice. I mean, this is kind of going to be a commonality in a lot of these characters. Once you get them up to second awareness, they're going to be doing you quite nice for what they want to do. This is just a commonality that we'll see in this game a lot. So like, honestly, I feel like she was perfectly fine at A0. But again, if you like the character or you want to do a little more investment in your healers and all the stuff like that, A2 is probably where I would say stop as per usual. You're going to hear me say this a lot. Most of the time, you're going to want to stop at A2 because like, it's a good amount of pulls, but it's not amazingly. But you're going to be set up quite well for the future with stuff like this happening. So, Awareness 3, it increases skill levels of Have a Cold Drink and Hell Summer Days by 3. Fourth one enhances her highlight. It deals bonus damage for 2 hits and inflicts 1 sparks per hit. So I mean, helpful. It's helpful. Not like amazingly good, but it's certainly helpful. Kind of gives her a little more ability to hold more spark stacks, which is quite helpful. And then Awareness 5 increases her highlights level by 3 and the skill level of Sparkling Memories. And then A6, this is the biggin. The Summer Reminiscence gains the following effects. When dealing damage with Summer Reminiscence, it increases crit rate by 35%. Each time an enemy takes a Summer Reminiscence effect, permanently increase damage taken by 5% and can happen up to 3 times, so that means 15% damage taken more by that enemy. Or enemies, rather. This is going to be an AoE attack, so that's going to apply to all of them. And at the max stack, increases crit damage taken by 20% more. So like, as per usual, right? A6 is freaking crazy good. I don't know if I'd recommend this though, because like, yes, Summer Tomoko or Seaside Tomoko, whatever you want to call her, is I feel like she's very good, but she's one of the, honestly, I think she's one of the only healers that we'll have for a while that's going to be limited. So it's kind of like you either get her now or you just hold out for better options or different options. But I mean, I don't know if I'd recommend doing A6 personally. I myself am stopping at A0. I'm not going any further, but if you had to go higher, A2 I would say is where you would want to stop, because then it, you know, buffs the party's attack even more, which is, you know, really cool, really nice. But most of the characters in this game are going to work proper at A0, and then maybe getting their 5-star weapon. Like, you get those two, you're generally speaking, you're set. So I'd say it's the same situation here. You get her A0, you get her weapon, you're pretty much good to go. You don't need to get awareness copies for her. I don't really see much reason in it personally. I might do it later because I like Tomoko as a character, but like, for your purposes, I don't really think it's that relevant. Now, if your favorite character is Haru and you want to vertically invest, then yes, maybe you should grab like the A1 just so she does more damage. Your Haru, rather. Because then this will directly help Haru out. So maybe if you're gonna go for Haru, consider A1. It's not really a necessity, I would say. I think it's a bigger boost just having the character as opposed to getting the first awareness. And again, I would probably say to probably go for her weapon over her awareness, because it increases her healing. But that is all I have to say about her awareness levels. Now to take a look at her weapon options. So something cool that you can do, this isn't really going to help her out like at all, but I guess for same name characters, so you know there's already another Tomoko in this game, you can put on her weapons. It's just a cool little thing I've noticed. It's not, I don't really think you're gonna be helped out by doing this at all, but it's a nice option. But let's go take a look at her weapons. So I mean, you know, the 3-star as per usual is not that good. I don't even have it anymore. That's I mean, I have the 4-star and 5-star, so that's not really any reason for me to hold the 3-star weapon. But so let's go take a look at the 4-star weapon, which increases her attack by 12%, and when activating Summer Reminiscence, which is her follow-up attack, it increases her healing by 13% for 3 turns. This is baseline, of course, so it'll get higher as you get more copies. I don't have more than 1 copy, but this is just, we're comparing baseline here. So obviously it's gonna get better, but you know, it's not as good as the 5-star. So for her 5-star weapon, it increases her healing by 22% and increases the multiplier for skill damage from her follow-up attack and its healing by 18.5%. When activating Summer Reminiscence, it increases the target's damage taken by 8.5% for 3 turns, and it can stack up to 2 times, so this would be 17%, I believe, total, if you're able to proc it twice, which, yeah, you should be able to. And that also decreases the target's defense and ailment resistance by 12% for 3 turns. So this is quite nice. I would say this is generally better for her. I guess there's 2 sides for this, for recommendations. You could, if you want her healing to be better, and you want her to be a little more helpful with them taking more damage in general, because the debuffs, then I would say go for the 5-star weapon. But if you want her to be a little more helpful specifically to like Haru and like Mesa, then I would probably say go for the A1. Neither of which is really required. You can pretty much just run her with the 4-star if you want. Like this is perfectly fine. It's not as high as a requirement as other characters in this game, but if you're going for the character, generally speaking, the weapon will tend to be better than another awareness copy. But again, it varies case by case, but I would say this is a very much up to you choice with whatever you decide to do with this, but just know that you will be perfectly fine with running your 4-star weapon. So if you're worried about pulls, just grab the 4-star weapon. You're not gonna really be doing that much worse off. But I'm going to be using the 5-star weapon today. Let us now take a look at Summer Tomoko's cards. So essentially, what I put on her is the 4 set of Prosperity and then the Space card of Departure. What Prosperity does for you is it decreases damage taken by 8%, and at the start of battle, it increases your highlight gauge by 25%, which is just really helpful. In the future, she's going to get more options, but I don't really see a reason to switch off this. It's really helpful for a lot of characters, or DPS, or whoever, so it just... Plus, you know, 25% highlight gauge at the start of the battle is like... We're not going to call that bad, right? It's freaking really good. It's real nice. You don't have to build it up as much. And then for Departure, once after you attack an enemy, it increases party's damage taken by 8% for a turn. Now, if you really care about damage, you can only decide to pop her big, like your DPS's big damage turns when this is up, but I don't really see it as that big of a damage boost personally. Because she's only going to be attacking 1 out of every 2 turns generally, just because you have to either pop the healing skill or you gotta pop the attack skill, so you only just keep that on when you're doing skill 3 with the attack. But not that big a deal. What I have on her, now like I said, keep in mind this is far from amazing, right? I mean, like, okay, the Sun card is good though. My Sun card is real nice. So essentially I'll go over what you want for main stats and then I'll talk about substats. So main stat, Sun, you don't have an option, it's HP. Moon, you pretty much just want healing effect. It's just gonna be better. It goes into her passive skill too. You want HP recovery. If you don't have HP recovery, it's kind of like, why? You want it. There's not really there's no reason not to have HP recovery. So just keep that in mind. So Moon is like by far and away HP recovery. If you don't have it, it's kind of like, why don't you have it on there? And then for Star, I have health on it, but again, it's not leveled because it's not that good. You want attack on this for the Star. Just like, she scales off of attack, so just get attack %, and then you're gonna be set with that main stat. Then for Sky, or the planet, whatever you want to call it, I have speed, but this is not what you want. You want attack again, because again, she scales off of attack, so just keep that. just keep that on there. So to summarize, the main stats, Sun, you don't have an option, you're going health. Moon, you need the healing effect or HP recovery. That's your main stat. If you don't have that, why don't you have that on there? Star, you want attack percent, and Planet, you want attack percent, or Sky, whichever one you want to call it. Substats now. Like I said, she is scaling off of attack, so any way that you can get her more attack, whether that be attack mode or attack percent, it's going to be helpful for her. So though it's like by far first priority. That's not even close. Like you get attack percent and damage, then you're going to be in a good spot. Like if we take a look at my Prosperity Sun card right here, it's got 3 rolls on attack and 1 on attack mode. That I could not ask for better. That worked out really well. So that if you can get cards like this, you're gonna be set up well. Second priority, crit mate and crit molt. This isn't as big a deal, but it also helps her personal damage, which is like, you know, I mean, if she can chunk out a little more damage, why wouldn't you like that, right? But this is without sacrificing any stuff with like your attack stats or damage bonuses or anything like that with your attack molt. I wouldn't say this is as big a deal. Still helpful though, because it helps out her personal damage. Then third priority is if you happen to have SP recovery, it's helpful just so she can spam skills more, but like most of the time in this game, you're gonna have enough SP to get through it anyway. Worst case, maybe you guard for a turn or two if you really are that low on SP, but generally speaking, I have not hit a situation in this game where it wasn't an extremely long fight and I ran out of SP, so you just... It's attack damage and attack molt, first priority, second priority, crit rate, crit molt, and then SP recovery for third. That is what I would say for her cards. Now let's take a look at her team options. So as per usual, you're bringing in Wonder. So, I mean, Wonder's is mainly a support anyway, so you just bring your whoever you're gonna bring on for Wonder that helps out your DPS. He's a support most of the time in this game. There's no reason to make him a DPS, so just get a support persona on him. Or a debuffer, stuff like that. So, one thing I would say, you don't need to run an AoE DPS like Joker or like On, but it lets her redeem her healing faster. Since, you know, the sweepers do AoE attacks, she's gonna get to instantly pop her follow-up attack after that, so just keep that in mind. But mainly you're gonna wanna use her for characters that debuff enemies, so maybe like Makoto does some debuffs just to secure that those hit a little faster. Mesa is a big one, let me roll over to him. So that's mainly who you're gonna be using, is like characters that debuff the enemy is who you're gonna want to use for her. I mean, she's a pretty good generalist though. Like you don't have to use her with characters that debuff enemies, but she's intended for it. So why wouldn't you want to do that, right? So Mesa is gonna be one of the big targets, I would say. If you plan to play with him, I would say she's a good option to pick up for him. I decided not to go for him as I showed you guys, you know, I'm waiting for Futaba myself, so I'm not going to be going for him, but just know that the two of them are a good option because, you know, he wants to debuff the enemy, so it's a good option. So any of the future debuffing and characters are going to be helpful, like as a main DPS, right? So like I think she actually would be helpful for whenever Akihiko comes out because he does want a debuffer on his team, so she would be helpful for that. Main thing though, if you want to play Haru, she's not I will say she's not required, but you are getting a very, very considerable boost in your team power by having Seaside Tomoko with Haru. So if you're gonna do Haru as one of your mains, then I would say definitely consider picking her up. If not now, then later, because Haru is coming pretty soon, keep that in mind. So when this guide comes out, I do think it's going to be a little closer to the end of the banner than I'd like it to be, but you know, it's alright. So just keep those people in mind, and like I said, there's more main DPS that want debuffers on their team later, so basically that is her role. Besides that, I mean, she's just very generally helpful. Like any sweeper you can bring her in, she's going to do considerable healing. It's she's just nice for stuff like that. She's not required though. Like as a more generalist though, I would say Minami is gonna be better for you, or Marion rather. But like Tomoko is gonna run you perfectly fine on your healer slot. You are not gonna be doing bad when she's on your team. So you finished building your Tomoko and are wondering how to play her, right? Let me tell you how. So your main loop for what she wants to do is continually use your skill 2 and skill 3 and then continue doing that loop. What this does is it marks the enemies with sparks for your enemies to be hit by skill damage from your teammates. So characters who can redeem this very quickly are characters who have AoE attacks like Joker, the upcoming Haru, or Summer Motoha. So characters who can do this slap the enemy with their AoE attacks, and then they can immediately get her the 3 spark stacks for her to do her follow-up attack, which does damage and heals your team. And what this loop of skill 2 and skill 3 does is let you get a heal every turn after she uses her skills. So you do skill 2, get an AoE attack, she gets the heal. Next turn comes skill 3, AoE attack, she gets some more heals. Now, this is just the most optimal way to get it. It's not required that you play this way, but it's just if you need heals fast and quick, then this is the best way for you to do this. And as like other healers, you can use your highlight as a panic button for emergency healing when necessary, but I tend to focus on DPS highlights before I use healer highlights. I tend to use them as more panic buttons for the healer highlights. Like if I really need healing, then I'll do it. Otherwise, any other highlight that either buffs your team or does deep damage, I would probably say focus on that one. One thing I did say earlier is that she does also buff your DPS with her skill 2, which is called Hail Summer Days. What this skill does is it buffs the selected teammate's attack, damage dealt, ailment accuracy, and buffs their attack again based off of their ailment accuracy stat. So, those who like to debuff their enemies a lot like Mesa or Haru or any upcoming character that really wants to debuff their enemy to deal a lot of damage, get a lot of use out of Summer Tomoko's abilities. Alright, so here we are at the gameplay section. I decided that I wanted to showcase her ailment accuracy stuff going on a little more, so we're using On instead of someone else. I don't have anyone else that really does debuffs. I could do Joker, but you know, I feel like it's a little more likely that On's gonna proc the stuff anyway. She tends to get more debuffs on the board, so we're gonna use her. And then I guess we could use Tomoyama as well, since she does help with ailment accuracy as well. Because that's one of the main reasons you're gonna get Tomoko, is because she really helps debuffers debuff. Like, those who are set for the role, like, you know, Rin, they don't really need this, but for actual DPS characters that want to debuff their enemies like Mesa or Haru, then you're gonna wanna have her for that. So let's go into the fight. So we'll just start with a Rin, skill 1. Now it's Tomoko's turn. So you start with your skill 2. You start with skill 2 and then you go into skill 3 for each turn. That's pretty much the loop you do. You basically never use your skill 1. Like I said, you should do this though because of this passive. You should level it at least a little bit. But skill 2, we're gonna give it to our main DPS On. Now it's On's turn. See, normally I would be using the first skill just to increase her attack, but I want to showcase the ailment accuracy thing. I'm not playing On correctly here, just know that, but it has a chance to inflict burn right here. And since she is buffing On, then we're going to be able to see better as a result. Okay, so basically, right here, she's getting buffed by Tomoko right here with the Hail Summer Days. So this is everything that it gives her. I believe this is something that On herself actually has. Alright, so basically what this does is it increases her attack, it increases her damage dealt, and then her ailment accuracy. So that's essentially what she's getting. And then, like I said, she buffs attack again based off of the target's ailment accuracy. In this case, it's based off of On's. I don't recall what her exact stats are. I don't think we can check in here. But start with skill 3. And she should probably mark someone with the burn. Yeah, you see these two got burned. It's of quite a low chance. Also, since she did an AoE, we get the heal here. My heals are a little low as you guys see, but that's because earlier in the video when I showed you guys, her heals are not really gonna be that good because I don't have maxed out cards. But as you guys see, she used her skill 3 and these two are burning. This is normally the burn does not proc as well without like buffing her element accuracy, so this is nice to see that she's already marking everyone she hits. I don't know, Wonder, we'll just do a revolution, I guess. Really doesn't matter his turn for the showcase, you know, he's just a supporter for most teams, if not all teams, so. We'll get back to the next turn. Just do Underworld Fairy again. Suppose we will just showcase her highlight. Well, no, we won't. We'll do... I suppose we'll do her skill 1, since I do want to get all the animations in here. Reminder, you're not really going to be using that skill like ever. Since we're playing as if we want to spam debuffs, you would probably be doing this first skill on Tomiyama, my bad. So we'd give that to on. Then we'll build up the stacks again. See, she burned everybody this time. She burned everybody. This is quite nice. She does not get burns, at least for me. She was not getting the burns this often. I did not mean to back out of that. I wanted to show her one more. Oh well, we'll do it next turn. Suppose we will show her highlight right now, so you guys can see that. Then she'll get a heal off this. And then she gets her follow-up off that for free, because there's a good chunk of enemies. Again, Wonder doesn't really matter here. He's loop back around for her. Normally what you would do is you would use, again, like I said, it's that skill 2, skill 3 loop for her. We didn't end up using skill 3. But basically, skill 2, skill 3, and you just repeat that loop. And then there's that debuff from the skill 3. Right here. This is the... my bad, this one, Sparkling Memories. That's what it is. Oh, this thing's dead. We'll have to do another one. I guess us doing 2 is going to be a commonality. So we'll loop back around for one more time. But just keep in mind, it's that skill 2, skill 3 loop. You're gonna be repeating that for all eternity. That is basically what it is. The reason I was showcasing the element accuracy is because like that's her main role. Obviously she could be used as just a main healer for multiple targets, that's fine. But I'm showcasing it as if you're gonna be pulling for Haru because most people who are pulling for her will be doing this. So we'll just do normal play this time. There's the follow-up. We'll just start the next wave with her. I'm assuming this is gonna kill. Yeah, okay. So, next wave starts, then we're gonna do skill 3. Gonna get that follow-up. Gonna get ready for the follow-up. We'll do this. There's that follow-up. So you can see what I mean about the marking. That's basically what it is. She's marking them to get hit, and once the teammates hit the enemy and she gets enough... Because what happens is every time one of the enemies gets hit by a skill then you get a stack off that. But I want to say it happens only once. I haven't really played with her enough to see if it procs multiple times, but the way her kit reads is as if it can only be hit once. We'll show her one more. We'll just pop her highlight again, why not? For the follow-up, then she ends it. I guess I didn't show her basic attack or her gun, but I mean, you're really not going to be using those two. If you have to use her basic attack or her gun, you're probably doing something wrong. Most of the time, if you're not going to be using a skill, you're probably going to be guarding to regain the SP because you just can't do the skill. But that's basically how you play her. It's skill 2, skill 3, and then if you happen to need a heal, you can pop her highlight, but most of the time, again, I would just say focus on doing the DPS highlights or the support highlights before doing hers. Again, if you need the healing, do the healing, but not often is it going to be where you're going to need to do that. And that is how you play Summer Tomoko. I hope you all enjoyed our second guide on the channel for Summer Tomoko, or Seaside Tomoko, however you want to call her. I'm used to calling all of these swimsuit characters Summer because of FGO, so that's kind of how I'm going to be calling them for most of the time. Obviously the titles of the videos are going to be what the characters' names are in the actual game, but that's how I'm going to be calling them. I think these guys are quite fun to do, so I mean, again, if you guys want to see some more, I tried to do something a little different with this one. Again, a little more scripted. It's not fully scripted because I do like to add my own flair sometimes, but you guys can probably tell where the scripting is at the highest. But yeah, I don't know, like I said, I enjoyed doing these, and if you guys want to see more, please help grow up the channel. Like, comment, subscribe, all that business, share. And maybe comment down below what your summon plans are. I'd like to hear them. Whether it be Seaside Tomoko, or maybe you want to wait for a Joker rerun, or Futaba who's coming out. You should probably go for Futaba. Just a little nudge to you guys. You should probably go grab Futaba. She's coming out in a little bit. In right about 6 days actually. So you know, just nudge nudge. You should probably get Futaba. She's really freaking good. She's probably one of the only must summons in this game so far. So anywho, with that out of the way, hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to do all of the support stuff, and I will see all of you in the next video. Laters.